Hey, thanks, Madeline. So first off, thanks everyone for taking time. Welcome. We're going to have some fun today talking about the top seller objections. I'm MAPS coach Aaron Simons. I've got my co-leader, Emily Baker. And together, we also lead a course called the Mega Listing Agent. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Which, our next launch kicks off on September 20th. And we'll talk more about that later. But today's call, Emily, it's going to be fast and furious, right? We're going to keep it focused on the top seller objections. And we're going to have some fun because I know there's a couple of them out there, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so what we've done for today is we've really broken it down into two types of objections. We're getting objections around, we call them situational, right? Time of year, market, right? Focused. And then, of course, we're going to go into the objections you actually get on listing appointments, commission, pricing, all of that good stuff. So where should we begin, Emily?
Yeah, I'm curious, everyone. Hey, everyone, Emily Baker here. Go ahead and put in the chat. What are the most common seller objections that you all are hearing in today's market?
Well, first off, Don from Central Florida, we hope you're safe with everything that's going on there. Thanks for, showing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Yep. All
Roll
right.
it.
So let's go into the most common objections. If we go to the next slide of what we're hearing, and we're going to hit these for you. So there are two different types of objections. Like Aaron said, there are market-driven objections, and then there are appointment objections, right? So the market-driven objections, that would be interest rate, where am I going to go, those kind of things. So Aaron, what would you say when it comes to interest rate? That's a hot one in the chat right now.
Yeah, and the reality is they all kind of fall, whether it's interest rate or where will we go next. I mean, those are the two big ones. What we have to remember is our job as agents, and specifically focusing on the listing side of it, is to help people make decisions. Yep. That's what we're there for, right? They first off, they have to have a need, right? In other words, their current house isn't working for them. And so number one, we first have to identify what's wrong with the current house or their current situation, right? What problem are they trying to solve? In other words, what's their motivation? And then if their motivation is strong enough, our job is to help them make a decision. And in making decisions, we have to get really good at going through people's options, right? And that right there from a script standpoint is where we need to begin, is great. So what are your options? Let me walk you through what your options are. Emily, I was giving this example the other day in that there's a saying that says, it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle, right? It's hard to read the label from inside the bottle. Sometimes when you're in a situation, right, you need someone who's on the outside, us as the agent coming in, to actually help you see what your options are. Because when we sit down and we go through people's options, they're so obvious. And yet when they're in it, they can't quite see it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, and I think it even goes back to, we'll hit the interest rate one, y'all, but it goes back to a lot of you are putting in the chat, where would I go next, right? I can't find what I'm looking for. And the reality is, how many of you on this call have actually left someone homeless? They had no option. You've left them homeless. Think about, in your years of doing this, how many of you have actually had that happen? Yeah. A lot of you are shaking your head. Nope, not me. Okay. That's sometimes our clients just need reassurance. Hey, I've been doing this for 10 years. And the great news for you is I've never left anyone homeless. Buying and selling at the same time is happening every single day. Can we agree? We are helping sellers sell, and those sellers are buying. Buy sells are happening across the nation right now. So that is a possibility. Worst case scenario, let's say that you can't find what you're looking for. I've got some options for you. Let's review and see what would be the best option for you if that scenario happened, right? Meaning we sold and we can't find anywhere to go. Number one, do you have a secondary property that you can temporarily be in? Friends, family, relatives, etc. Nope, I don't have that. Nope, no problem. Would you be open to a short-term rental? I mean, that wouldn't be ideal. I mean, we don't want to move twice, but I mean, worst case scenario, if we had to. Okay, great. Next, Have you looked at all of your financing options? Have you looked at programs like Homeward, where you can buy before you sell? Have you considered a bridge loan or considered those options with lending partners? No, I haven't considered those. I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay, we can definitely explore those. So that could be an option for you. And last, and this is typically the most common that a lot of my sellers use, is lease backs. So we close on the property and you lease back from the new property. And the great news for you is inventory. Are y'all's inventory, is inventory still low in a lot of your markets? Give me a thumbs up, shake your head. Yes. Yes. Put it in the chat. Okay. Yes. So with inventory being still low, you do have seller power. Buyers are still struggling finding the right property due to low inventory. So they're willing to negotiate terms like leasebacks. Remember how many leasebacks that we did during COVID, Aaron?
Yeah, they were still happening, and they still are happening.
Yeah. Are we giving the sellers the option of that and educating them on what their options? And then you circle back and you go, okay, great. So best case scenario, we list the house, we get top dollar, and we find you a house. Worst case scenario, we have 3 options to explore.
5.
Well, I was saying based on like what I said, no, it wasn't their option, but yes, but yes, we have those options to explore. So what would stop us from moving forward and capitalizing on the equity?
Because what's the alternative? What does it look like if you stay?
Yep.
What does it look like if you stay? Who's impacted by that? And so let me just go back real quick and highlight all those options. Because this is our job, like we said. What are your options? You actually gave 5 options, right? You gave 5 options, right? Number 1 was you could stay with friends or family, or you could stay somewhere temporarily until you find something, right? Was option 1. Option 2, maybe you go into a short-term rental, right? Option 3, we can negotiate some form of a lease back for you, right? Option 4, we can look at a buy before you sell program, right? By the way, option 5 I added in there. We can maybe negotiate a seller contingency. That was talked about on stage at MegaCamp, right? We can put a seller contingency, which of course gives you a certain amount of time to find a home once you go into a contract. And if you don't, then there's no penalty for you as a seller to cancel the contract. And then option number 6 is you do nothing. Now let's go deeper on option number 6 called do nothing, and let's see if that truly is something that you can do. Because what does that look like? How long can you not do anything? Who's going to be impacted by that, right? So our job when they're talking about, well, where would I go, is not to buy into that drama. It's to say, okay, well, let's look at all your options and then pick one. If you don't like one, great. How about 2? No? Okay, how about 3? You consider that? Great. Well, how about 4? You don't know about that? Let me educate you. How about number 5? No, you don't like that one? Okay, now we've got it down to 2 options. So our job here is to give them their options, and they have a lot of them.
That's exactly right. I heard the other day, y'all, more than 90% of homeowners are locked into sub 6% mortgages. 82% are below 5% and 62% are below 4% on rates locked in. So rates is a really hot topic, right? Why would I sell if I'm sitting at, a sub 4 interest rate and I'm going to go into 7.25 or what that looks like for me, right? Why would I do that? Aaron, what would you say to a seller that asked that question?
I don't know why you would do that. So that's right. That's question number 1 is, I don't know if I wouldn't give up my interest rate, but again, I don't have a need. So when they're using rate as the objection, if you will, okay, so let's go back to the motivation. I'm with you. I don't know if I would want to give that up, but what does it look like for you to stay? Let me just go back through the options. If you stay, it means what? That you're going to have to drive now an hour each way to get to your new job. Okay, so that's 2 hours a day that you're sitting in the car. Who's going to be impacted by that, right? How is that going to work with your family? How long can you continue, right, being away from your family? What are you going to miss by doing that, right? So what's more important here? Is it the interest rate, or is it spending time with your family? Because it's never, Emily, would you agree it's never really about the interest rate?
No.
It's what's the trade-off and what's being impacted, right?
Yep. Well, and I would add to that too, is there any indication that rates are going down?
No, no.
What did the Fed say that did the Fed say, or did they not say that they're going to raise rates one more time this year?
And they will stay higher longer than anybody wants to admit.
That's exactly right, because we are following, Gary showed us the slides at Mega Camp. They are showing that they should be where they're at, right? If we were looking at the median line, this is where they should be at. So I also would go back to facts trump feelings, right? It is scary when inflation's really high. It can be frightening when interest rates have been at 3, 4, 5%, and now they're 7 and continuing to be on the rise, right? It's okay to validate them in that emotion. And yet the question then becomes and what happens if they don't go down? What happens if they don't go down and prices go down? And then we're chasing the market to the bottom. And 3 years from now, you look up and go, man, I wish I would have done this. Think about how many buyers in 2020 had buyer regret that they didn't buy before, when all the media was saying real estate's going to shut down. We're going to have an economic crash, right? And what happened? The complete opposite. It went crazy, right? And so what if there's an alternative and the prices do go down? And now we're getting less than we're even talking about right now. Are you willing to wait 7 to 10 years for the market to recycle and get back to where prices were?
So, Emily, what you're doing here is you're not feeding them one snappy line that's going to magically, right, handle the objection. What you're doing is you're asking questions, right, as we're going through the options, correct?
That's exactly right.
And that's our job here. It's to just be the outside perspective, unattached to the outcome, right? Like I said, I don't know if I would give them my 3% rate, but let's look at what your options are and let's see what each one means and who's impacted by each one. And then let's pick one.
Exactly right.
Right?
Well, that's being the guide, right? That's not being a salesperson, that's being a guide. And as an economist of choice, that is what you're doing. You are guiding people to make financially educated decisions. We're not selling on doing it. We're guiding them through the thought process. So let's move on, Aaron, to appointment objections, because I saw quite a bit in the chat there with commission, interviewing multiple agents. So commission is a hot one. Can we all agree?
Oh, it's competitive out there, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers which suggest that based on the fewer home sales. So we have more agents, fewer sales. So the competition's fierce.
And it's only going to get, and look at, as we're now pacing at 4.1 million homes sold, where we started the year was 4.5, last year was 5, right? Agent count isn't dropping as quickly as number of units. And when you look at the average deals per agent, I mean, it's just going down. So every single opportunity we're in front of, there's going to be 3, 4, 5 agents behind us who are going to do everything they can to basically win, to take you out. And the first thing they always go to is commission, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. And it's the worst, right? I do not want to lose to somebody cutting commission. So I'm going to give you all a question that we call our seller trial close. This is the most, I think, one of the most important, maybe not the most, one of the most important questions to ask once you've gone through your framework, you've gone through your unique value proposition, you've gone through, and we teach you all of this in our course. But after you go through everything, before you go into price, you ask the seller this one question. I would say, Aaron, okay, outside of agreeing on a price that would cause your property to sell for top dollar in today's market, what would stop us from moving forward together today?
I think, everything you had to say was pretty good.
Awesome. So there's nothing that would stop us from moving forward as long as the price is correct, right?
Well, hold on. What do you charge per commission? We haven't talked about that yet.
Absolutely. I charge the standard 6%. As long as the financials were a win-win to you and you were netting top dollar, what would stop us from moving forward?
Well, we have, we've seen some ads. We've heard others that are doing for less. What could you do? What would be your best commission?
Well, here's the reality. And I'm going to give you guys a few different options of that. Okay. Because there are a couple different options based on your personality style. Personally, I like the dollar bill. Have you all heard of the dollar bill strategy? The $3 bills? Put it in the chat if you have. Yes, no. Okay. So you have 3 $1 bills and you keep it in your bag or your briefcase or your notebook or whatever for appointments should the commission objection come out. With a Sharpie over the top of $1 bill, you write brokerage. The second dollar bill, you write marketing, and the third dollar bill, you write profit. Okay. So brokerage, marketing, profit. And I would just say, hey, has any other agent explained how commission works? And most of the time they say no, or they say, well, the buyer agent gets a percentage and you get a percentage. Those are typically the two responses that you get, right? I would say, yeah. So the buyer agent would get half of the commission, which leaves us with 3%. So I actually get this question a lot. And I'm a visual person. I know that most people are visual. So let's walk through how this works. I can appreciate that you're looking to walk away with the most amount of money. That's my goal for you as well. The more money you make, the more money we all make, right? So the buyer agent gets 3%, which would leave the remaining 3% of the 6% commission, okay? Now, most people don't know this. However, 1% automatically goes to the broker. So whether someone's a broker or a part of a broker, they have fees when it comes to negotiations with the office, licensing, office dues, etc. Does that make sense? And then everybody says yes. Okay. All right. Then I personally spend 1% marketing your home because we both know that the strategic marketing plan is what is needed to find the one buyer willing to pay the most amount of money for the property, right? And then that leaves 1% for my personal business and family, my profit. Now that you understand the commission breakdown, what percentage do you think that this other agent is going to cut? They can't cut their brokerage. So you think they're going to cut the personal profit or their marketing? Mm-hmm. And every single time they're going to say marketing. And you're going to say, yeah. And can we really in this market afford to cut the marketing that you and I both agreed that would find the specific buyer looking to pay the most amount of money?
Yeah.
That
Here's no, I love that one. Let's look at it a different way. So Emily, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have another agent who's offering to do it for less than what we've talked about here, correct?
Correct.
How many times did you have to ask them to get them to lower it to that number?
I just asked them what their commission was and they said they do it at 5%.
Oh, got it. So you didn't even have to ask them for them to discount their commission. That's what they offered out of the gate. Is that right?
That's right.
Can I tell you why that concerns me?
Sure.
Right? And why it should concern you and your bottom line is that if that agent can stand up for their own self-worth and their own commission, how well do you think they're going to negotiate when it comes to standing up for the equity in your home? You see, here's the deal. You don't have a discount home, do you?
No.
So does it make sense that you don't need to hire a discount broker?
I never thought of it like that.
Right. So let's do the right thing. Right. And here's another way to think about it. Right. Would you agree that negotiating is like anything else you do in life? The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
Right. And, in looking at our production versus that agent, right, would you agree that we're negotiating more frequently and we've been doing it longer than they have?
Yes.
So let's not trip over trying to save, 1% up front, because that 1% up front can easily lead to a 2 to 3% loss down the road in their ability to negotiate. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's not what you're looking for. So let's do the right thing. Hire us and let's get your home sold.
That's right. And those of you that track your list price to sales price ratio, yours personally against the market, for a lot of you, it's above that. So you're netting sellers 2% more above average agents in the market. And you can use that stat as well with what Aaron's saying in order if they come back again. So love that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say, I think what's important here isn't exactly what you say. right? Look at, you have a great way to say it. I've given you a version. It's that you have something to say because it's just a question, right? All they're looking for is, do you have a response? And if you have a strong response that makes sense, right? Usually they drop it and they move forward.
That's exactly right.
Now, Latoya was asking about the co-op commission. And this is very easy, right? So Latoya, if you want to, you don't have to charge or offer out 3%. If you want to offer out 2.5%, 2%, you certainly can. Can I share the challenge? If I'm an agent and I'm showing my buyer 3 homes and one's at 2%, right? And the other 2 are at 3%, which homes do you think I'm going to show first? So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you don't want to put your home at a disadvantage, do you? Right? So let's make sure we're offering out the full 3% so that agents are excited to come and show your property. Choice is yours.
Yep. The other one that was in the chat that I think is also really common because it seems like everyone is in real estate nowadays, right? So when someone says, oh, I have a friend or I know someone that's in real estate, right? Or I'm going to use them. My favorite question to ask people in that regard is this a friendly decision or a professional decision when it comes to one of your greatest assets? Authorship is ownership. What you'll notice with what Aaron and I do is we just ask really powerful questions and put it back on the client because that's the biggest thing that we find. And early on in my career, I'm fully transparent that I struggled with of being direct and clear up front. I was afraid of, oh, well, I haven't been in real estate for very long, or, oh, like I'm a younger agent. Some of these agents I'm competing with have been in the market for 20 years, right? Those were my own insecurities that prevented me from just putting it back on them and asking them the question. Authorship is ownership. They will decide if you help them get clear. But if you don't help them get clear, then someone else will come in and sign them. They'll close, right? And that's what we see a lot is we're just not closing at appointments because we're not isolating based on that trial close of, hey, what would stop us from moving forward together today, right before price?
That's right. And what we're doing by asking questions, again, it goes back to we're just putting options in front of them. We're not telling them what to do. We're just giving options and giving input on each one.
That's right.
Right? Sure, you can hire an agent who's charging less, but you have to think about by charging less, where's that money coming from? Which would you rather choose, right? Yes, you can hire an agent who's offering less commission. However, what does that say about the ability to negotiate? Which agent would you rather choose, right? So the moral of the story here when it comes to whether it's market driven or appointment driven, our job is simply to ask powerful questions, right? And give them options and let them choose. And that's the definition of helping people make decisions. In other words, closing, so that they get what they want. We're there to help them get what they want.
That's right. Stacy asked, that's good, but would it be offensive? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. That hasn't been my experience, but it's my tonality and how I'm asking it. I'm not like, I'm not being condescending when I'm asking it. I'm just coming from curiosity and my tonality. And the thing is that the response that I've gotten more times than not, I've literally helped tons of people where their best friends were agents or their sister was an agent or whatever, is ultimately finding a win-win behind that. And yet also they haven't thought, most of the responses that they have never looked at it that way. They just haven't looked at it that way. They don't know what they don't know. And so they feel obligated because of their relationship. If they're not adamant, Gary always says, Jennifer, take the listing. Don't ever walk away. Take the listing. When you're at a listing appointment, your one job is to sign the paperwork. So do whatever it takes. And if they are fully adamant that they are not willing to list with you at 6% and it's in your target market, you know that it will sell, they're not being ridiculous on price, right? Like we're going to price it right. Take the listing. Don't let another competitor have their sign in their yard and then be able to use the marketing to generate additional business.
Yeah, and here's another fun conversation, right? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of the day, do we always start at 6? Yes. Do we always end up there? No. There are, things that may happen along the way, right? Where we're not going to keep a deal from coming together. So for example, if we're in a negotiation and there's only so much you can do, and there's only so much the buyer can do, and we need to bridge the gap to make a deal happen within reason, we're not afraid to step in and make a deal happen within reason, right? And yet, if we can go out and do what we're talking about here, price-wise, which is going to net you this amount of money, and if we were to do that, would you agree that we've earned our full commission? Okay, so let's play that game first.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So as Aaron mentioned, we are launching the Mega Listing Agent on September 20th. So this course is a lot of fun. It's 9 weeks. We go fully on how do you build a listing-based business? What are the conversations, the dialogues we go through? Pre-list, pre-qual, listing consult, lead generation, lead follow-up tactics, how to have price improvement conversations, weekly update templates to your sellers as homes are staying on the market longer. So we give you the full play for the Mega Listing Agent. We are launching, like I said, September 20th. What would you add to that, Aaron?
Here's what I would say to that is that, look, listings are going to become more and more competitive. And listing is a big word. Like Emily said, we cover it from soup to nuts, right? And so if we're not working on our listing game, what are we doing? Right? And so our goal is to make sure that we're getting every piece of that process dialed in, from lead gen to referrals after the closing. And so we can, again, like I said, if you're not working on listings, what else? What else are you working on?
Yep.
No,
Got a list to last. So that's the QR code. And if we'll go to the next slide, Aaron and I actually have one more free webinar that we would love to see you all again at. It's called the Top Strategies of a Mega Listing Agent. So if you're curious on what do top listing agents in the nation, what do they focus on? What are their priorities? What is their 20%? That this course is for you. It is September 13th at 1:30 is our time, Central Standard Time. It is 100% free. So go ahead and register. We'll have the QR code and we'll put that link in the chat for you as well. And we're just really grateful that you all came and showed up and are working on your listing businesses. And we are definitely in a skill-based market. So I just applaud you all for working on your skills and showing up and being interactive. I trust that you all got value from today, and we're grateful to be on the listing journey with you. And awesome. You will all get the recording. Yes, this was recorded and you will all get emailed the recording.
All right, guys, thanks for being here. Reach out if there's anything we can help you with.
Thanks.